This is Lenny Wennerstrom, Common Sense Health Expert. Welcome to the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast. Without your health, there isn't much joy in life, so here we talk about all facets of health, including lots of unconventional strategies, tools, and solutions from a holistic point of view. This podcast is all about motivation, inspiration, and expansion of your mind, your body, and your spirit, because your health is your number one asset, and my job is to help you protect it. Now, on to today's episode of the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast. This podcast does not provide medical advice. The purpose is to promote consumer knowledge and information on various health topics. Always seek the advice of your qualified health practitioner. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast. My name is Lenny Wennerstrom, Common Sense Health Expert. And this is episode 6. And we have Jennifer Taylor. It's Jen Taylor. And she is a clinical herbalist. If you can't tell, look at the back behind her and all her herbs. She walks her talk and her walk. And she was formerly worked in a pharmacy. And she is a formulator of herbal potions and concoctions and awesomeness and teas. Like, Jen loves teas. She has tea parties. She lives in Dallas, the Dallas area. And so if you're into a tea party, we're going to hook you up with her email. And so if you want to have a tea party or something, this is the person to do it. She has like China and Budamus Cosas. Budamus Cosas, here I am. I don't know why I went into Spanish. The Budamus wasn't Spanish, but anyway, so she is my herbalist sister. And she's been an herbalist much longer than I have. And she actually took like a higher level of herbalist foundation classes, but she also taught. So she's just amazing. So anyway, I'm just so excited to have Miss Jen with us today. And we're going to talk about anxiety and pain and all things herbal that can help you. So thank you for being on here, Miss Jen.
Gosh, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
You're so amazing, girly. So,
thank you.
Can everybody tell that I love her? I love her.
I feel the love. I do.
Oh, so Jen, tell us just a little bit about how you went from the pharmaceutical, the Western medicine world, to the herbal world, because that is a total 180.
It is a 180. And let me just tell you that I fell in love with herbs. My daughter was bedridden for 5 years, and I worked in the pharmacy, and we had been in and out of the hospital. She was on morphine drips once a week. She was on hydrocodone, oxycodone, Valium, or she was on, anything you could imagine for pain. Tramadol. She was on some Xanax because they thought that originally it was just stress causing her pain. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the medical field failed us. They couldn't find a cure. They couldn't find a way to help her. She went 5 years in bed in pain, and I'll never forget. We shared a room at the time. I'm a single parent. I had my son in one room, and her and I shared the big master bedroom, and we both had our own separate beds. And I had kind of arranged the room to where we faced each other so that I could kind of watch her through the night. Mm-hmm. And I remember waking up, and both of us waking up at the same time. And we both sat up and looked at each other and started crying because we both woke up. The pain was so horrific and so strong that she had to endure that every day. And as a mom, I had to watch it every day, helpless. There was nothing I could do. I was at the mercy of 13 doctors, 18 procedures, and a surgery, and still no comfort, none. So I turned to herbs. I was in a pharmacy at the time. I started researching. What kind of triggered it was a few things. I ended up getting some herbal books as gifts, which I thought, well, that was wonderful. And I've always loved herbs. I always, had a fond love for like chamomile and things like that. Still do.
Mm-hmm.
But I really started noticing that books were coming in, recipes, herbal recipes, and then a pharmacist came in as our pharmacy manager, and he goes, well, you do know that most all herbs come from constituents, or all medicine comes from constituents of herbs. And so he'd test me. Well, which herb does this come from? Well, which herb does this come from?
Wow.
And before I knew it, I was so like, well, wait a minute, maybe herbs would help my daughter. And, she was in bed from freshman year um, all the way through her senior year. And it was 3 weeks before graduation. Actually, it was about a month before graduation. And I had started into herbal classes, and I was really into it and really getting her healthy and getting her body on vitamins and making sure her nutrients were, solid, and just really backing away from foods and introducing things, into the diet that were healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And she walked across the stage graduation day.
Oh.
And
Oh.
she's been healthy ever since.
What a.
She got married 2 years ago to her biology partner, and he is an airman in the Air Force, just deployed yesterday. And she is actually was so funny because when she was bedridden, the one thing that got her through as a teenager was reading all the blogs and everything from makeup artists and hair designers and things like that. And then the girls from cosmetology in town would find out about her, and they'd come over and do her hair. And
Wow.
it just made her feel so good. We were closely connected to a small group of people that kind of knew us and knew our situation. And
Mm-hmm.
and so she got her cosmetology license, and then she became a master esthetician, and now she's a
Wow.
manager for a salon. And
Wow.
so, I mean, what a happy ending, right? I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
happy ending.
She's
So,
been.
and it's all herbs. And it's not that she doesn't have flare-ups, but her last flare-up lasted 30 minutes.
Wow.
So, and it's just a matter of, oh, where are my herbs?
Yeah.
What do I take? So anyway, and a lot of that is diet.
Mm-hmm.
She has to really watch her diet,
And
things like that.
what is her diagnosis?
Well, she has she has two autoimmune diseases and then
Mm-hmm.
severe IBS. So
Okay.
on top of severe IBS, she has Crohn's,
Mm-hmm.
and she has endometriosis. But when it first started, we didn't understand where the pain was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Then through the surgery, we found out that she had golf ball size golf ball size cyst.
You must be in
Uh,
Texas.
Can you tell? So we had golf ball size cysts, about 7 of them, landing in her stomach cavity every month. And then,
Gosh.
and so then those would explode in her stomach cavity. All the scar tissue would pin against her intestines, which would cause her bowels to block, kind of block up
Wow.
her bladder. Everything would just kind of not function correctly. And then the Crohn's, I don't know like where that came from, how it came down.
Mm-hmm.
But it did, and we found that slippery elm is the most wonderful herb for a Crohn's flare-up. It cools the stomach, it just helps coat the intestines, and it just really helped. So now she keeps her slippery elm handy and watches her diet, and she's very healthy. I owe
Wow.
it all to herbs.
Yeah.
She owes
owes
it
it
all to
all
her
to
mom, but
herbs.
I owe it all to herbs.
That is awesome.
So
And
it was
then,
then that I had a strong love affair with herbs and decided that it was the love of my life and my passion.
and it is. I
And
mean,
it
it's like,
is.
I mean, anytime, like, just for our listeners and viewers, because it's going to be both on YouTube and on iTunes and wherever podcasts are listened to. just so you know, like when I was taking my classes, this was in 2015, and Jen was actually working there. She was taking, well, you took the higher foundational classes. You were already, I mean, you've already been a clinical herbalist for a long time, but she was just like honing her skills. But she would teach us, like we'd go in and ask about herbs as we were learning, and she would get the Medica, what is that? The Medica?
The herbal medica.
Herbal medica. Yeah. So I was like, what's the other word? But it's herbal. Herbal medica. And she'd go and say, this, but actually you didn't even really need that. I mean, you would go and talk about all the different herbs and how they work together and the different constituents and how you would put this and that together and why. And it was just, it's fascinating. And I've been fascinated with them ever since. It was just, I just have always felt really blessed that you were working there at the time, and that you would, after the classes, after the long classes at the very end, you'd go, take the time.
We'd all meet down in the shop, and
we'd meet down in the shop, and it was just so fun, like going through all the herbs and really understanding and touching them and feeling them and smelling them and just
right.
because they become part of it. But but yeah, so your love affair with herbs is as you can see from behind. I mean, it's just that you have your herbs everywhere behind you.
Yeah. They come with me wherever I go. Yeah. And I actually have 3 times more of this in the other room on shelves. So
wow.
So I just have every kind of herb that you can imagine. I just keep them stocked.
Yeah, well, don't touch that iPad because we'll never get it back situated. We worked very hard.
We did.
Well, you did. So what are some of the herbs that you have behind you? And just give us kind of, I mean, obviously you have a bunch. To just give us like some of the ones that you have behind you. That
well, this one is Nettles. And
Nettles.
I will tell you that Nettle is probably one of my favorite. And all of my favorite herbalists, Rosemary Gladstar, David Hoffman, they will tell you, if you don't know what to do in a situation, if you just don't know what to try, do Nettles. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I do want to say to your listeners is that if you're on blood thinners or heart medicine, herbs can speed up or slow down your medication. So Nettles is not a good one if you're on anticoagulant or coagulant drugs. So, just don't do that. But
so
for
thinners.
Any blood thinners, yeah. But anyway, it's just a wonderful herb. And if you do a teaspoon of nettle in a cup of coffee or in a cup every day, and you want to add oat straw to that, that'll give you just about all the vitamins and nutrients your body needs. Oat straw has the folic acid, but Nettles has just about everything else. So Nettles is so potent that if you planted nettle in your garden, it would give all the other plants their nutrients without depleting its own supply. It's the most nutrient dense herb on the planet.
Wow.
So I love that one.
So
alfalfa is good. Alfalfa is not as nutrient dense as nettle. Nettle's probably the most. If you wanted a good strong vitamin T, though, you could do alfalfa, red clover, oat straw, and nettle, and that would give you everything your body needs. Yeah. But if you did oat straw and nettle, you're getting just about everything.
Well,
I mean, because a lot of it's duplicated. So yeah.
Yeah, because I have our morning vitamin is milky oat, well, oat straw, but milky oat if we can get that in a tincture, and the what did we just say? The milky
alfalfa?
oat, alfalfa, and the nettles.
Nettle. Yeah.
So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, you're getting everything, just about everything your body needs.
Yeah.
You are getting everything your body needs with all 4 of those.
But with the red clover?
The red clover too. Yeah. Yeah.
This is why
it's amazing. It's amazing what herbs do. Each herb does about 5 or 6 things in the body too. So It's very potent, and you think they're so gentle, because you don't feel like, oh,
Mhm.
it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
But I've had, time and time again, people they do call me now here down in Dallas, which is really fun. And they say, I'm just struggling with this area, and I'll give them a little recipe to try. And then I'll have them call me back in a day or two just to let me know how it's doing. And they'll call me back and they'll go, it's working. Like they're so surprised. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's supposed to. I get
So,
surprised if it doesn't work.
yeah, exactly. So take a sip of your tea and tell us, after you sip your tea, tell us what you are drinking.
Oh, this is a little concoction that I put together today. So I just really wasn't feeling good. Yeah, I wasn't feeling bad. I
Hmm.
just was off today. I don't know
Hmm.
if anybody can identify with that, but I wasn't
No.
just wasn't myself. It was one of those things that if I could trip or fall or break something, slip on something, I did it. I mean, I was just off. I didn't feel like I was in my game all day. So I
Hmm.
came home and I put together kind of a heart healthy, but then I also added oat straw just to calm my nerves a little bit. So I have linden and hawthorn. And then just to kind of lower any blood sugar issues, I did cinnamon and fenugreek, and then I added oat straw. So
Wow.
yeah.
Can you guys tell she loves teas? Loves herbs.
I know, I love them.
So sip it and tell us what it tastes like.
Oh, it's very cinnamony.
No, you need to
Uh,
sip it. I keep saying sip it. Sip it, girly.
it's very has a nice cinnamon flavor, but also just a very slight hint of almost a licorice. So it's not very strong. It's just very mild, and
The
it's just very
fenugreek.
good. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So how nice. What a nice, you always put together different concoctions, and they're just,
Yeah.
I love the
Well,
way
I
you put
really
them
love
together.
tea. It's just sometimes, a tea won't taste good, so you won't want to drink about 6 to 8 cups of tea if it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, if your nerves are kind of frayed, or you have a little bit of maybe just mild anxiety, you can do oat straw and you can even put that in a water bottle. So, and I don't tell anybody to ice things. I always kind of tell them, if you can do room temperature, that's better.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do have to add a little ice,
Mm-hmm.
ashwagandha is good in a water bottle. Oat straw is good in a water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, those things, oat straw is pretty good anyway. And that'll just really, if you just have mild anxiety or maybe frayed nerves, maybe it's not so much anxiety, but if your nerves are just kind of frayed, then you
Mm-hmm.
can do oat straw.
So nettles is contraindicated for contraindicated. I think it's for women who are nursing because it might be drying. Is that correct?
Yeah, it can be.
Uh-huh.
I usually tell moms that are nursing or
Mm-hmm.
pregnant women to keep their body as pure as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put a lot of herbs in there. Don't even try them. And most pregnant women or women nursing are still on prenatal, so they really don't need nettle.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I just wanted to put that out there in case
yeah,
a pregnant mother
yeah,
or nursing is
right,
like nettles. I'm gonna and oat straw.
yeah.
How's oat straw? I
Oat
mean,
straw is safe for any medication, anybody, just about.
okay.
I have not found a contraindication on oat straw. If you think of oats,
Mm-hmm.
you think of oatmeal, which is heart healthy. You think of, any kind of oat cereal, any kind of oat, anything
Mm-hmm.
made with oats. It's usually healthy for the heart, healthy for the digestion, healthy for cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no side effects against any medication. So oat straw is one that I usually take to tea parties if I'm not sure if anyone's on medication, because then I know at least they can do that one.
So oat straw, where does that come from? What part of the plant?
That's the tops
Okay.
of the plant.
That.
That
The
like the
the
weeds.
one that blows in the wind. Yeah, the chafe.
I, yeah, I just want people to understand
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't know where their food comes from. So I want them to get a visual
right,
of
right.
what it looks like because like to go out and harvest or and in fact like here and I think in Dallas too, but there's a place here which you're very familiar with, but Natural Grocers,
Mm-hmm.
and they have um, they have uh, bulk, if you will, herbs that you can get, and they do have oat straw, and then you can also get it from places like
Mm-hmm.
mountainroseherbs.com,
Yeah. I
Frontier,
also like and Southwest Botanical.
and
Um,
Southwest. Yeah, Southwest
yeah,
Botanicals.
yeah, they're really good as well. I like
Yeah.
them. The reason I like them, and Frontier is another good one.
Hmm.
But one thing about Southwest Botanical is that the herbs come in kind of like a cellophane type bag. And you don't want a lot of sunlight to hit them. You don't want that
Yes.
plasticky thing, you just
Yes.
don't want them to be in that environment, and you don't
Hmm.
want that hot sun or the heat. And I always feel, I think I have one over here actually. So this is how they come,
Uh-huh.
and they're sealed up good, and no sun can get to them, and so they stay fresh a little bit longer. And it's a sealed bag as well.
What's
So.
the front? What does the front look
Oh,
like?
it's the Southwest Botanical.
Yeah, just wanted people to be able to see that.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. Oh, and that's fennel seed. Oh.
Fennel.
Fennel. I love fennel. Some
I
people
love
just
fennel.
don't. Yeah, some people don't like fennel. If they don't like licorice, you're not going to like fennel. But it's so
Well,
good.
it's really kind of interesting. Most of your Indian restaurants will have fennel at the register for
I
you to take
know.
a little bit. And so, honestly, if you have digestive issues, and just do a little bit of fennel, that will relieve that gas and gassy, bloaty feeling after you eat.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, speaking about gassy and bloaty, let's talk about digestive bitters and some of the herbs that would work like to have like half an hour before you eat so that you can avoid
yeah,
the gassy
yeah.
bloatiness. So tell us a little bit about some of the herbs that you might put in a digestive bitter.
Well, definitely lemon. Orange peel is good. Dandelion root is good. Anything bitter is good for the liver. So if you think in terms of what would be really bitter, then those are probably going to be really good in digestive bitters. So
So
definitely
ginseng.
lemon. I just tell everybody, you know what? If you have financial issues, and herbs can be expensive, but
Yes.
lemon water is a very inexpensive way to go. You can start your morning off with room temperature water, and either a half a lemon squeezed if you are lucky enough to live in a place where you can get fresh lemons that aren't
Hmm.
costly, or you
Hmm.
can just get the lemon concentrate and do about a teaspoon in about 4 to 6 ounces, and drink that down before you have anything else, and that'll help your digestion start. And then you can even do that throughout the day or do that before you eat. And
Hmm.
that's a very inexpensive way. You don't really need to go overboard.
Hmm.
If to start, it can be very simple.
Yeah. But if you wanted to get digestive bitters, you would
Bitters.
bitters. Would you like to have a bitter? So, I mean, I guess you already said like wormwood and gentian and some of
Yeah,
these
Jensen's a
bitters.
really good one. It's
Yeah.
very bitter. It's so funny because people used to, and Shashandra is another
Yes.
one.
Oh God, that those
Yeah,
tons of berries. Oh my God,
right.
it's like
So, but Jensen used to be one that I'd go, this is very bitter. And they'd go, how bitter? And I'd let them try it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they'd go,
that's,
oh,
that's bitter.
it's bitter.
So that's really going to help with the digestion because it's going to get the bile flowing and
Hmm.
get your body ready for digestion.
Yeah, just, keep in mind that you want to get that liver stimulated for the food to come down. So
Exactly. Get all the gastric
yeah.
juices and everything flowing in your body. So
Mhm.
like probably like at least 20 minutes, but half an hour
Mhm.
before. If you have digestive issues, that's a good way to start before a meal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one nice thing about dandelion root is it also stimulates the bile.
Hmm.
So it really just helps that bile production. And if you're somebody that doesn't have a gallbladder anymore, then
Yes.
it's crucial that you do nice things for your liver every day. And it's wonderful if you can do them before every meal.
I'm so
Um,
glad you mentioned that because so many people, that's like one of the first things the doctors do when it
yeah,
shouldn't happen.
no,
But anyway,
I
that's another
know.
story.
We
But
do need
anyway,
our gallbladders,
we
so
do
don't
need
be,
our gallbladder.
yeah,
So
yeah.
don't be
And if you
all,
have a gallbladder attack, it's just because your gallbladder isn't producing enough bile and it's not pulling enough from the liver. So what you want to do is if you start feeling that coming on, just, work on your liver. Just really work on your liver. And that would be milk thistle, dandelion root, ginseng, just shishandra, a lot of herbs that you can just pull in together. I would definitely do tinctures rather than teas just because they are so bitter. And you can mix 1-to-1 on
Mhm,
those.
mhm.
And you can get them at most health stores now. Natural grocers, Whole Foods, all of them carry tinctures. So
Yeah, that's really good advice, and I'm really glad you brought that up because so many
yeah.
people really they don't have their gallbladders, or they've been told that they need to have their gallbladder, and they just think it's just like a regular thing. You know what?
Hmm.
Don't lose your body parts, people.
Well, how many are
People,
we? Yeah. Well, how many times are we told you don't really need it?
yeah. Oh, always. Just like your tonsils,
And then
just like
yeah.
I mean, your
And
adenoid.
yes, you do.
Let's.
Yes, you
Yes, you
do.
do. Yes, you
But
absolutely
if you've
do.
had it removed, you really can overcome that. I think that's the takeaway from this is that
And
just be kind to your liver and you'll overcome it.
yeah,
I mean, you not overcome it, but I mean you can overcompensate for not
and
having a gallbladder.
yeah, and if you are to do some digestive herb like the
Mhm.
dandelion or gentian or any of the ones that we talked
Right.
about, or even lemon, right?
Yeah,
Um,
lemon.
but especially you want to do the herbs that really work with the liver, correct? So that
If you don't have
get
a
that
gallbladder, I would do the heavier herbs
right,
as
right.
well.
Yeah.
But if you're on medication, there again, please check with your, um,
Please check with
you
Jen.
know, yeah,
Jen is your herbalist.
I do have a book and I do cross reference before.
She's
Um,
amazing. Amazing. I mean, she's my go-to herbalist. So if I can't figure something out, I mean, she helped me with my hubby. So she helped my hubby, I should say, but you know how hubbies are. So anyway, anyway, she put together a protocol for him. It really helped him. So
good, good.
um,
I'm glad.
yeah. So go ahead and grab another
Sip of
herb,
tea.
a sip of tea and an herb from behind you, and talk about that herb and how you would
Mm.
use it. I mean,
Well,
just
the one that I want to talk about, let's see if I can find it really quick.
okay. Oh, I see
It,
a puppy. Hello,
oh,
Playa.
I'm sorry. This is Playa. Probably should
Playa.
explain to everybody. He
Hello.
thinks this is all about him, so he's been laying down he's just laying on my lap. So
Well, it is all about him.
it is.
What's wrong with you, Jen? Of course, it's all
Um,
about him.
so this one isn't in a fancy anything. Just keep it, but it's ashwagandha, and so this is another one for anxiety. That a lot of times, one thing that I love about ashwagandha, and let me see if I can open this up so everybody can kind of see it. I don't know if you get a good picture
This
of
way.
it.
This way. More. Yeah. There you go.
Here we go.
A little more this way. A little more towards your camera. Look for the lens. Look for the
Oh,
camera.
where's my camera lens? Oh, there it is over there. Oh, there it is. Okay.
There, hold
Can
it
you
right
edit that?
there. Yeah. No, no, it's much funnier this way.
Well, anyway, it makes it real, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm an herbalist. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not technical. Oh, goodness. So anyway, but ashwagandha, one thing about ashwagandha that I love is that when your adrenals kind of go down. Ashwagandha is wonderful for adrenals, as well as licorice, and some other things. But it's one of those things that can help you at night get a good night's sleep. It can calm your nerves, but then also too, it can just sustain your energy throughout the day. So a couple of things that I love if you have adrenal issues, which would also make you anxious, your anxiety would just kind of go like this.
Like
But
cortisol and
yeah,
other
your cortisol
the
levels are
adrenals.
just off whack. Your adrenals will affect your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your kidneys. Those are the main things that your adrenals, they sit right on top of your kidneys. They're just two little sacs that sit on top of your kidneys. And they kind of control the kidney functions. They just kind of do this little ebb and flow thing here. And when they go flat and they go down on your kidneys, it causes your blood pressure and your blood sugar to go up. So a lot of times, if you kind of have like a temporary high blood pressure situation, let's just say, well, let's just put this into perspective of what happened to me. I was in Colorado. My daughter was sick. My car battery died. So my car died. Not my battery, but my motor. So here I was, out of work, her in the hospital. My car engine died, so I had no car. I was running for a bus. I was, interviewing at jobs. My adrenals just fell flat. Now, when I say that, I don't think they honestly went flat, but it felt like they did. And I was just out of steam. I had no energy. I felt like I was walking with 20-pound weights every day. Ended up getting on ashwagandha though, and added a luthro to that and a little bit of licorice. And I added the licorice in slowly because my blood pressure was up, and licorice will make your blood pressure go up. So I started off with ashwagandha and a luthro, and then slowly added in, as my blood pressure came down, I added the licorice. And but got my adrenals back up, and got my blood pressure
She's a Texan, so she says adrenals. We say adrenals, but she's a Texan. She's like, right. Y'all, these are adrenals, y'all.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Well, it's funny you say a luthro. A luthro is probably one of my favorite herbs, that like go-to cola and luthro mixed together, like for energy, and ashwagandha, because ashwagandha is an adaptogen, and so
it is.
So what you're talking about is just like balancing out everything. It's just and it's great for strength, and I mean it's like you could go on and on with what ashwagandha is good for, and how amazing that. Would you think about mixing, like if you were anxious, and so basically if you're anxious, you're imbalanced, right? So what about like oat straw and ashwagandha to get it? I mean, would that be like a good tea?
Yeah, it might be a little overkill. I don't know that you necessarily need both, unless, I always think of oat straw. Oat straw is good if the central nervous system is just frayed or attacked. So, I think of people with MS. Oat straw is really good for that, where the central nervous system is just depleted. And it's also good for frayed nerves, but on a very mild. Oat straw is one of those that's a mild nerve, but it packs a powerful punch to the central nervous system. And that's what I always remember that. Ashwagandha is an Ayurvedic herb, I should probably say that, from India. And it just does more for the adrenals and more for that sustainability, more for your cortisol levels. So they kind of both do almost the same thing, but in different areas of the body.
Which is I love that about herbs. I
I
mean,
do too.
that they have an affinity for various organs or
Yeah,
systems, or I love that.
right.
It's
Now, taking them both together won't hurt.
yeah,
Um,
but
you
it
know,
might be overkill.
yeah, it might be. It may not be. It just depends on where the stress is coming from. Well,
And
I
what you
think
need.
that's the main thing. Yeah, what you
Yeah,
need.
yeah. So
Because a lot of times people don't need. Um, sometimes they just need magnesium.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes
I mean, you could just have a magnesium deficiency, and that would be causing you to be stressed.
yeah.
Or not get a good night's sleep, or your muscles to be tight. Things like
Yeah.
that. So,
And so just a
you know,
nice cup of tea
yeah.
just might be enough with a
Might be
couple of
that's all you
magnesium.
need. Yeah, chamomile.
Chamomile. Exactly. And so what was I just going to ask you? Okay, well let's talk about so you created this 'cause I love this because it's so amazing, but you created we talked about anxiety, but we wanted to talk about pain, and you created for plantar fasciitis, like
Yeah,
that's one thing, but it works on so many things, but that like so many
yeah.
people have plantar fasciitis.
I know.
So you created, what's the name of that pain oil?
Head to
Pain oil?
toe.
Yeah, head to toe.
Yep.
So tell us
Literally,
about
you can use it from head to toe. Every kind of pain, from migraine, headache pain. It is a topical oil, so you can just like rub it on the temples, back of your neck. Any kind of maybe you've had an injury. I had some people. Um, it totally took away a 20-year-old painful injury. And I'm just amazed every time somebody uses it. Um, I'm thrilled. I've had people use it on their farm animals, uh,
Wow.
arthritis on their dogs, on their. Uh, I know Susan from Colorado used it on her goats.
Yeah.
You know,
She's another herbalist sister of
yeah,
ours.
I know, and
Well, she now works there where she did. She doesn't now.
yeah, yeah. So it's pretty amazing to see all the things. It has feverfew in it, so feverfew is really good for migraines, really good for inflammation. And it was kind of funny because one of the things that I learned from some of the big herbalists that I got to study under was that you don't pick the herb picks you. And I think it was David Hoffman that went out in a field one day and couldn't figure out what herb that he needed. And so he just went out and sat in a field, and then all of a sudden the herb started moving. And it was like a very quiet, still day, and the herb was moving. Well, I was trying to kind of piece together what herb I needed to go in this pain oil. And lo and behold, if feverfew didn't continue to come to me, I would be walking and all of a sudden see a patch of feverfew. I would turn around and there was feverfew. It was just all over.
I'm
And
in
it
the
was like,
store and
okay,
feverfew tinctures
yeah,
jumping off the shelf.
that's right. That's right. Feverfew picked me. So hence that's in my pain oil for inflammation. A lot of people think of turmeric for inflammation, but feverfew is another good one.
Mhm.
Um, and
And feverfew can be taken internally and
right,
topically, right?
yes,
In your thing.
yes.
Okay.
Now my oil is just topically, so you
Mhm.
don't ever want to take that one internally. But yeah, I do. I have a wonderful remedy for plantar fasciitis that I've seen time and time again. It works if you work it. And it does involve my oil just to kind of help during the first couple weeks, but usually by week 3 or 4 it's totally gone. And what you want to do is castor oil. Castor oil is a wonderful herb, and or castor, the castor nut that it comes from, but castor oil, we
Mhm.
always heard of it as, take it internally, well, no, that will blow out your colon. But if you take
I
it,
know, I've had that happen when I was little.
But if you do it topically, it
Mhm.
does amazing. It helps with hair growth. It dissolves scar tissue under the skin. And one thing it does for plantar fasciitis is if you warm it and put it on your foot and let it soak in twice a day, it will dissolve that bone that's jabbing through your foot. And that's what plantar is. It's bone fragment.
Wow.
So, and then another thing you always want to do, if you have plantar fasciitis, you've probably been stressed and your kidneys are just in need of a little love. So I always tell everybody to drink dandelion tea if they have plantar fasciitis, because you walk differently. When you're stressed, you don't realize it. You're not conscious of it, but subconsciously your body takes care of the kidneys. So it has you walk a different way. When you walk a different way, you're resting more on your heel, and that's what happens. And that's how plantar fasciitis gets started, is because you're constantly on that heel and you just start grinding on that bone, and until you get a little bone fragment. So that's what I tell everybody: just take care of your kidneys, love your kidneys.
Yeah, love those organs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They start wearing out, and if you start taking care of them today, then they take care of you tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, I love the way you say that, Jen. And so what else is in a couple more things? Because I know you have several things in there, but what are some of the other herbs that you have in your pain oil?
In my head to toe, well, I have
Yeah, I just
St.
call
John.
it pain oil because it works.
Yeah, it does work.
It's
St. John's wort,
mm-hmm.
I have that in there too.
And St. John's
And
wort is good for what?
St. John's wort in the oil form is good for neuropathy. So it drives all the way down to the nerve.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that in there. Frankincense oil is also good for inflammation. So I have, I actually have frankincense tears, which look like little rocks. But I cook all these herbs, and I do it over a period of time, and then I add everything in. So it's a lot of fun.
We'll have to do a YouTube video or something so people can see like
Me
you
putting it together.
Yeah, because when you were telling me like, well, I have my oils, the time you just had them simmering and ready to, they have to be at the perfect heat, and they go for a long time, and
Yeah.
they have to be like
Yeah.
perfect and everything else.
They
And
tell me when they're ready.
they tell you that's what it says. They tell me when they're ready. I mean, very honestly, when she says that, she means that. I mean, herbs do talk to you if you're listening. So it's just,
Yeah.
it's very nice. And it's funny that you talked about like herbs picking you. I don't know if one of my favorite herbs is comfrey, and the reason I love comfrey is because that several times. I mean, I love just the idea of it, putting it on as a poultice. You know, so the paste around like a sprain or broken bone,
Mm-hmm.
because basically comfrey, it's called knit bone, right? It's from back when its nickname is knit bone, and it literally the indigenous tribes, Indian tribes and others would use that
to knit it.
Put the bones back together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I 3 times, 2 times I fell doing box jumps, and 1 time I was pulling my hubby's kayak, and it was so heavy, and I was in the like beach dirt, sand, and I'm pulling it, and it just like, it was so heavy, and I was pulling it from a long way, and my ankle twisted. But 2 of the times it got like big, my ankle, and like 1 it already started bruising, and other, so I just put the poultice on. I threw some DMSO on top of it and wrapped it with plastic, had it on like all through the night. The next morning it was like nothing. It's like it had never even happened. I think like that. But
herbs
anyway,
are amazing.
Yeah, and not that happens for everybody or would happen, but it's the healing amazingness of them is it's like it's magical. and it's God-given, and
Yeah.
and they're beautiful. They're so beautiful. Are there any other herbs that you want to talk about that are exciting to you besides all of them?
All of them.
I know.
I thought I would just
Silly
mention,
question.
because we're kind of on the tail end of flu season, but a lot of people are still getting this upper respiratory congestion, cough.
Hmm.
A lot of people, if you have laryngitis, sometimes they're just kind of losing their voice, and they just, it's so annoying. It wears your body out, right?
It does. Yes.
But I just wanted to mention, during this time, one that's really strong and you wouldn't think about it is thyme tea. And you can sip that with a little bit of lemon. It's very good, very comforting, but it will restore your vocal cords. It'll really help. It helps with any kind of infection. Um, I don't really want to say infection, but it does. It's pretty powerful. It is
But wait,
antimicrobial.
right. So thyme is the one that you gargle if you
You
have
can gargle.
laryngitis,
Hmm.
because literally it kills that bacteria that's
Yeah.
creating that
Yeah.
laryngitis, right? I was
Antibacterial,
like, which one?
antiviral, antimicrobial.
I
It's
know.
just really strong. So yeah, you can gargle with it. If you've had pneumonia or you have pneumonia symptoms, you can add a teaspoon of thyme from your kitchen spices, a
Hmm.
teaspoon of thyme and a teaspoon of sage in a boiling pot of water. Take it off the stove and get a towel and just make a tent and just breathe in that steam until it cools. And then you can always just set aside a cup to drink after you do that. But it's just wonderful. So I think I would just, kind of encourage people to not be defeated. A lot of
Hmm.
times medicine is targeted just one, the reason we, have antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic, because it really just kind of targets one strand, one illness, and, you might have something else going on.
Hmm.
And so herbs can, you don't need a whole bunch of herbs, because, like I said, one will do about 5 or 6 different things in your body. So a lot of times you can just do one herb, and
They're
thyme
gentle
would be.
yet powerful.
They are.
Oh,
They are. They're my gentle giants.
yeah, they are gentle
Yeah.
giants, and super powerful gentle giants.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, teach us how to make an infusion for, say, energy, because so many people are lacking energy. We talked about the adrenals and some of the herbs, but like, what would
Oh.
be a good, I mean, for me, what I love for energy is like gotu kola and eleuthero, and
Mhm.
I don't know, I'd like to throw some bacopa in there for my brain.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Bacopa's better. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
For energy, um, gosh, I I probably again I would do peppermint too. That's alertness. I'm trying to think of something that would taste good. Eleuthero is okay as a tea. Um, I would just probably do that as a tincture.
Yeah, you know what?
And gotu kola and ginkgo. I mean, some
You,
of them
you,
are okay. You can add them into a tea. Certainly you
yeah.
could add them into like peppermint or something like that.
Hmm.
But like to drink a cup of something, you want it to taste good.
You're right.
So
No,
peppermint, yeah, peppermint is good for alertness, so it'll kind
mhm,
of wake you up.
mhm,
Peppermint is also really good for morning sickness.
mhm.
And you don't have to drink peppermint tea. You can actually even just smell peppermint. So if you have, I always tell women who are pregnant, you know, you don't have to drink peppermint tea. Just get an essential oil
Mhm,
and keep it by your bed and just smell that in the morning.
mhm,
Sometimes that's enough. If you have a
mhm.
headache, peppermint's really good for that as well. So peppermint does give you that alertness. And then to that, you can add um, ginkgo or gotu kola. Gotu kola is what I call the 5-hour energy of herbs. So gotu kola will get you running get you going, not running, but it'll get you
Yeah, it won't
going
get
in
you
the
running
morning.
to the bathroom. It'll
Yeah,
get
we
you
don't want
going.
that. If you have to drink 6 to 8 cups of it, you will be.
You know,
But I would do a tincture of that if you needed it.
I don't think that I have ever used eleuthero in a tea. No, eleuthero I have used in a tea. Gotu-cola. I
I
don't think I've used
have.
Gotu-cola in a tea. So
I have, and it's not bad. It's not that it doesn't taste bad. It's just, a lot of people, when they wake up in the morning, they think of coffee, so you're thinking of like chicory, dandelion root,
dandelion, yeah.
things like that. And so if you want something that's going to kind of get you peppy and get you going, then yeah, definitely I do. My probably my little formula there would be peppermint, gotu kola, and then maybe eleuthero, so you have that sustainability for a couple hours.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I think I'm going to get more of those herbs so I can have my morning tea.
There you go.
I just do lemon water every morning.
That's good.
Going.
There you go. Say,
that's
testament right
me.
there. Look at her. She's got so much energy.
Let me see what else. If we talked about pain, anxiety. We talked about the various teas. We talked about energy. And we talked about flu or feeling sick, laryngitis. We've really covered a lot.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. You've been teaching people. You are quite the herbalist, girlie. My little herbalist sister. I love you.
Love you too.
Is there anything else that you would like to teach the listener? Oh, okay. So here I said an infusion, right? Sorry.
Yes,
I said
that's
an infusion, but then we never talked about like what an infusion is and how they can like do it the night before. You know what I mean? Have it. So I said an energy infusion, but so like how would they make a tea, an infusion?
Well, an infusion is where, I use a tea ball, and actually I have one right here so I can show you. And I put my herbs. Oh wait, I have to get it over here, don't I? Let's see. I have to do this. Sorry.
I feel like I'm being hypnotized.
There you go. So this is my tea ball,
herbs.
and I have the herbs in there. So an infusion basically is making a tea. So you would pour the hot water over the tea ball and let it steep. Usually a rule of thumb is 3 to 5 minutes. If you have nuts, seeds, or bark, and like white willow is a bark, valerian is a bark, or a root rather. I'm sorry, it is. Don't do that as a tea. I'll tell you right now, it's smelly sock of herbs, right? But you can, you just let the water steep, and then your tea is ready. It's in the water, and it infuses out of the ball and into the water. So that's an infusion. If you want to do a cold infusion, for example, slippery elm, you would fill a muslin bag and put it in a mason jar of filtered water and let that sit throughout the night. And then in the morning, the bag is very puffy and some has gone into the water. What you're going to do is strain it out through the bottom of the bag, pour it in a pan, boil it, and then you've got it all good to go. You're going to just not take it out of the muslin bag, but you're going to strain it out through the bottom of the bag into the pan of water.
And that's good for digestive issues. I mean, like
that would be really good for
heartburn,
severe stomach issues, IBS, digestive issues too. It's also good for a sore throat, believe it or not.
Well, because it coats the mucosal lining.
It coats, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good for the entire.
It's anything that needs coating from the any kind of area of the digestive tract. Mm-hmm. I'll put it that way, from the esophagus all the way down.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing herb. And you can, one mason jar will do about 2 cups. So I usually do a big mason jar. When my daughter was sick, I would do a big one.
Like a
And
quart?
then, yeah, it would be about a quart. And I would
Mhm.
keep the balance in the refrigerator. It stays good up to 3 days.
And it's really good. Okay,
Really good.
slippery elm, it's like, so think mucosal lining, right? Like
Right.
kind of snotty, just so people know. And then you
Oh,
do
it's
the lid
very,
all
it's, yeah,
slippery.
it's very gross if you're not used to it. But oh, you'll fall in love with it when you
Yeah.
just feel the effects, and you'll just fall in love. How
And
could you not?
and then the other one would be marshmallow root for
Marshmallow root is very good.
if you
Now,
can't find it.
slippery elm is used a lot,
Mhm.
and the elm trees, the slippery elm tree itself from the elm tree is endangered. So a
Right.
lot of herbalists will choose to use marshmallow, but marshmallow is more for the stomach. Um, I use slippery elm if it's severe. I
Hmm.
just lean back to slippery elm if it's, I'm having a flare up and I can't move, severe.
Hmm.
I'll go to slippery elm. If it's a maintenance thing, I'll use marshmallow sometimes.
And
So
so it's a so you would go wild crafted, correct?
I don't. I get mine from a really good source.
Oh, right. You
So,
wouldn't do wild crafted for the slippery elm
hmm,
because it is endangered, the elm
yeah, and it's
slippery elm
it's
tree.
not. I not easy to, you have to scrape the bark, and there's a way that they show you how to do it, but I've not done it. I
Hmm.
don't. I've
Yeah.
wildcrafted some herbs, but not a lot. I've done valerian, yarrow,
We did
camp,
well.
uh,
That's the
calendula. I've done calendula,
Yeah,
you know.
calendula is a great herb. So, what's in Texas, like in your area? Are there any?
Lavender's popular.
Hmm.
Lavender's really popular. And one nice thing, we'll have to do another one of these, and I'll take everybody. I live right by the Arboretum,
Oh,
and
wow.
the Arboretum has a beautiful herb garden. So you can imagine where I'm drawn a lot
Yeah.
to.
Yes,
But
I can.
sage is good, lavender's good here. Roses are good, of course. It's a good climate. St.
Mhm.
John's wort. I've got some harvesting now, and I'm actually going to go pick it this weekend and make another batch of head to toe.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. So I'm going to
Very
be, yeah,
nice.
fresh for the first time using fresh St. John's wort. So I'm real excited about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how can people reach you if they need an herbalist, which everybody needs you?
Well, you can come to visit me at the Little Greenery .com or the Little Greenery at gmail.com. I will tell you the website is being redone, so it may not be up and running when people jump on the website, but you can reach me at the Little Greenery at gmail.com.
Perfect. So that's Jen Taylor. She's
Yeah.
an amazing clinical herbalist, as you can tell. She's super gentle and a giant of an herbalist, meaning that she knows how to mix and match. She's also, if you are in the Dallas area and you want to have a tea party, she's amazing with all her little. She has a whole
Yeah.
trunk of not classical pieces, but like porcelain, right? A tea set.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, it started off that I used to do tea parties for little girls, and I would call them trunk parties, and I would show up with dress up clothes, real teacups, and the whole bit. And they would love it. And now I've kind of shifted into doing herbal teas where I actually teach a group of people about the herbs as we're sipping them and trying them. Um, and I will say lemon balm is another great one for the nerves. I'm just going to throw that out there. I usually take lemon balm to my tea parties because then everybody relaxes and it's a
What
really good
a
time.
good-
Just
What a way to
relax.
learn. Yeah, what a way to learn
Well,
about herbs.
yeah. So we just sit around and I just kind of share what each herb does and we try them and we just it's like it's become more of a tea, trying a tea, just a sip, and then everybody gets up and gets their favorite. Like, oh, I really like how this one tastes. Oh, I really like how this one,
Hmm.
medical reasons I can only have this one. So, it goes into that. But then it's just very fun. I love tea. Tea is one of those things that you have to sit down to drink a cup of tea. Not many people can be walking around drinking a cup of tea. So it makes us sit. It makes us be introspective. It makes us think. It makes us be grateful. It just helps our body just relax and kind of just go with the flow of the cup. You don't have to be in a hurry when you're sipping tea. You can't be in a hurry and drink tea.
Yeah.
So you just have to relax. And I think that's what really, that's why I really like those, because people will be coming in, they don't know what they're coming into. They think it's like a Tupperware party.
With all this fine
And
china.
they're coming in and
Tea.
they sit down and they just have this nice little cup of tea. So I don't really, I kind of let, I've done everything from very nice cups from the party store to my china cups to mugs, just whatever anybody wants. I mean, a lot of times we're sitting outside on a front porch.
Yeah.
And I'll tell everybody now in Texas, it's sweet tea on a front porch,
Yeah.
but we're going to teach you how to do sweet herbs. So
That's so cool. So one of the things that why I would highly suggest that for those of you viewing or listening, that you would contact Jen if you haven't already fallen in love with her, is because she does come from that Western medicine, the pharmaceutical side. So she really understands and has like a big arse book on pharmaceutical drugs. And she, as she said in the beginning, she'll go between, she understands that which herbs can go with which pharmaceuticals if somebody is on a medication.
right.
And so she's super gifted in that way. And that is such a unique thing for an herbalist, because most, I'm not going to say most, because I don't know another herbalist that came from a pharmaceutical background.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's there might be some pharmaceutical people who were in that pharmaceutical world that dabble in herbs, but not to have a clinical herbalist and have somebody that understands the pharmaceuticals themselves. So
Yeah.
You're super unique in that, and I hope that people really will contact you and take care of their health, because you're so preventative. I mean, herbs are so gentle, as you say, gentle giants, but so preventative, but
Mm-hmm.
yet they also can work with a medication.
Right. Well, and the thing to remember too is there's a place for both.
Mm-hmm.
So herbs aren't fast a lot of times. Now, in the time of like comfrey, it can be. Time with laryngitis, it can be. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a car accident, if you have a major medical situation, of course, don't go off your medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's applicable and you can introduce herbs and maybe let herbs help lower your blood pressure so that you can decrease that, or herbs can help your digestion, so maybe you can get off some of your antacids, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let herbs help. It's not to take the place of, and I certainly wouldn't want anybody to think this would take the place of any medical need that they have going on right now. Just there's a place for both, and we just have to be smart, and when we're doing that. So, if a lot of people call me with, 7 or 8 things going on, and I always tell somebody, pick one.
Yeah.
You can't deal with everything all at once. So what are we going to just pick one thing that we're going to work on,
take an adaptogen.
And I will tell you that if you work on your digestion, which Lenny, you are the master of nutrition here, but if you work on your digestion, you've taken care of about 90% of all illnesses.
Yeah. Inflammation,
So
digestion. Yeah.
yeah, it's all in your gut.
Yeah.
So if you'll work on, just getting your digestion going, and again, that's working on anything bitter for that liver.
Yeah.
And, just really starting there. I mean, really and truly, Chinese medicine says if you want to work on acne, work on your liver. If you want to, if detox, work on your liver. If you want to work on your heart, you work on your liver. If and so I always tell people when they come to me and they go, where do I start? And I'm like, we're starting on your liver.
Yeah.
It's like, do whatever you can for your liver.
Yeah.
So I would tell people to start there, no matter what they might have going on.
Well, I'm sure everybody can see how very unique you are. So Jen, I end my, every episode I end with asking for a personal, funny, interesting story. So do you have any interesting story about herbs that we can laugh our arses off at the end?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Gosh, on the spot, I can't think of one.
I know, it's the best.
This is pretty funny.
Okay. You mean where you're stuck?
Yeah, where I'm stuck. You're going to edit this part, right?
No, it's the best part of all.
Honestly, I can't think of anything funny. I can just think of times where my heart was just very warmed by the power of herbs. Like seeing my daughter walk across the stage graduation day, seeing her walk down the aisle on her wedding day, having people come back time and time again saying, it worked, I feel great, we did it, me and the herbs, we did it, I've had a numerous amount of people give me the credit, which is not due toward me. It's all the herbs. And it's very heartwarming to see people light up when they realize that, oh, I don't have to take this medication, or I don't have to lay here anymore. I don't have to be miserable. I don't have to be anxious. I can honestly be healthy and I'm in control, and I have these herbs. So I wish I could be funny. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Looking. What an elementary joke. I just went back to elementary school. Well, Jen, I love you, my little herbalist sister. I love you so much, and I am so grateful that you shared your wisdom and your knowledge.
I'm just so glad I got to join you this evening. Thanks so much, and happy herbs, everyone.
Yeah, happy herbs, and thelittlegreenery.com, and Jen.
It's just it's just thelittlegreenery@gmail.com, and it'll come right to me. Mm-hmm.
The little
and then if my website's not up when you run out there to try it, don't be dismayed. Just give it a little bit of time, because it's all going to be back up and running. I just wanted to take a few things down that weren't working and put a few new things up that were. So.
And I will put all this information on the show notes, so people will be able just to click on it and everything else. I love you, my darling.
Love you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast. I hope you learned something new. I appreciate you so incredibly mucho. Make sure you always take care of you first, because your health is your number one asset. I'm here to help you protect it. To listen to more episodes, check out LennyMotivates.com and follow me on Instagram @LennyMotivates. Don't forget to share this podcast with family and friends. Remember to always be your biggest fan and your biggest cheerleader, because no one can love you more than you can. Take care of you. Ciao.